Well, hello there, and this is Auntie, and I am here to do a review on a movie that I watched on Netflix called Juanita. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining the channel. And to all of my nieces and nephews who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you. I usually do not do movie reviews, okay? I just don't do them. Let me turn this camera a little bit. I don't do them, but I said, you know what? This movie has so touched me that I want to do a review on it. So, yes, this is out of the ordinary. If you don't like movie reviews, it's okay. You can come back for my 90 Day Fiance videos and you can watch those. Let me tell you something. I have Netflix on my television and I really don't watch it a lot. I really am like a HBO type of girl. And so when I went over to a friend's house today, she told me you have got to watch this movie on Netflix called Juanita. So I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, let me go ahead on and, check it out. So I made me a nice little dinner and I turned it on. This movie stars Alfre Woodard, and it is a story about her life. And so it opens up with Alfre Woodard being in a hospital. She is a mom of 3 kids. It doesn't say, where any of the daddies are or anything like that. But she's a mom of 2 sons and a daughter and a grandbaby. She is in a job that she says pays her $12.95 per hour. She indicates that she's been on this job for years, and this is what they think that she's worthy of making. And so she's walking down the hallways of the hospital and she stops by, she talks about the name of the hospital and how the name had been changed and nobody told her that, or asked her permission for this particular hospital to be changed, the name to be changed. And so she stops by one of the women in the hospital's room and she talks about how some of the patients are really, really kind and they're nice. And we see her bonding with the patient. It's an older woman. This older woman and her kick it with each other. They have a bottle of Jack Daniels. And they also smoke a little pot together, okay? And so, she puts this woman to bed. I guess the pot put her to bed, really. And then, she goes on to hide her marijuana and all that kind of stuff in this little tin box, along with the ashtray and everything else. And then she sees a little Dutch shoe, and she talks about how the older was a dancer and how she had traveled to Europe many times. And you see a woman who is contemplating her life, what her life has amounted to. And, as older women, we look back at our younger years and we do wonder, what has our lives amounted to? What can we show for the things that we have either done or not done in our lives? And you think about mortality. The older you get, I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. And, there's an awareness that comes with that. We see her children. She has a son who's incarcerated by the name of Randy. She alludes to the fact that Randy shouldn't be there. It should be her son, Rashawn. She talks about how Rashawn doesn't have a job, but how he keeps money in his pocket. So, it leads you to believe that, he's probably a drug dealer or something like that. She talks about how much he stands out on the corner and how he is attached to these, hood rats in the neighborhood. Then we see her daughter, who, Alfre says that my mother told me, don't have children until you get grown. And, wait until you get grown to have children. Alfre Woodard says, I waited, but I wish I had waited longer. When she looks at her daughter, she has her grandbaby on her lap, and she talks about being a ghetto grandmom and that kind of thing. And, the daughter, is going out. She has her little, go to hell outfit on, and she's going out for the night. She tells her, Mom, I need you to keep the baby. And she says, no, this is the only day that I have off. And she's like, well, Mom, all you got to do is put her to bed, and then you'll have the house free, because her son Rashawn is out in the street doing what he does. Her daughter is, basically going out to have a good time. And her son Randy is in prison, and she's stuck with the grandbaby. She has this fake relationship with Blair Underwood. She's always imagining that she's with him, even to the point where she's getting up in the middle of the night, heavy breathing and everything, having been with Blair Underwood. And I thought that it was funny. Basically, she is the rock of her family. She's the matriarch of her family. But everybody is living their lives any kind of way that they want to. I'm sure as a mom, she feels like a failure because none of her children appear to be successful, or at least in her eyes as a mom. And, although I can't relate to that, many of us can. We can relate to having our children growing up and really looking at what have we accomplished with our children. Because, see, a lot of times you know the parent by the child. You know the parent by the seed, okay? And although, we put a lot of time and energy into our children, we can't control what they're going to be. We are vessels that bring our children into the world. We guide them, we nurture them, and we give them everything that they need. But we cannot make decisions for them when they get to be a certain age. When we're putting them on the school bus in the morning time and we're picking them up in the evening, we're telling them what time to shower and what time to do their homework and all of that. That stuff runs out very, very quickly. And before you know it, they are grown and trying to make their own decisions and really forging their own way. And so she is now contemplating her life. Her whole life is sitting before her. And she makes a decision that she's going to be like the woman who was in the hospital, and she's going to explore the world. She has no idea where she wants to go. She has no idea what she wants to do. She just knows she needs to get the hell out of there, and that she needs to add something to her life that's going to bring her joy. Because all her life she's been a caretaker. We see her sitting in the jail. In the visiting area, visiting her son behind glass. And, she's saying to her son, I told you not to get in the car. He said, I wouldn't have got in the car with those guys if I knew they had a gun. And she's saying, well, these are those kind of guys that they're always going to have a gun. And so, the son that kept his nose clean and stayed above the fray is the one who is in jail. So as a parent, I'm sure that she's thinking, why this son? This is the son that I still was, trying to hold out hope for, that he would indeed become something and someone. And this is the one that, because you think that, the other son should be punished, or should be held accountable for the things that he's doing. But he gets away scot-free, and the other son is the one that's in jail. She goes over to go. We see her with her suitcase. She doesn't tell anybody anything. She packs her bag and she says, I am going somewhere. I'm going to go for a couple of weeks. I need to explore the world. And so we see her walking with her suitcase. She goes over to a hair salon where her best friend works. And she tells her best friend, I got to go. And her best friend is devastated, but yet she understands. And not only does she understand, she supports her. She has told her about her children and told her that, basically you have spoiled your children and that's why they no good for nothing. There's a lot of profanity in this movie, but the movie is written in such a way that the profanity almost seems like it's appropriate. I mean, it really is appropriate. One of the things that Alfre did in the movie was she told the little granddaughter, you know, your mother's a hoe. And I thought about that and I was like, you know, she can say that stuff while that little girl is young. But when she gets older, she has to break that. Because what you don't want to do is bad mouth the parent. The little girl will have time as she grows up and gets older to find out what kind of person her mother is. But I think as a grandmother, she shouldn't have said that. But anyway, it was meant as humor, and so I took it as humor. I didn't take it really serious. But for people who really do that in their real lives, you really got to be careful about what you say around children about their parents. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button when you come into the room. I really do appreciate you doing that. And so we see her girlfriend tell her, you know what, I support you. She goes into her bra and she gives her some money so that she can go out on her journey. And so she, you know, she goes to the Greyhound station. She asks her, how are you going to get there? Because this is a woman who is not really, you know, all that intelligent, seems to have some kind of, she has panic attacks or suffers from panic attacks. And she just doesn't seem like she's all the way together. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if it's schizophrenia or what it is, but there's just something that's just mentally off with her. Like all her marbles are just not there. I mean, I think that she might be missing a couple of ingredients. Okay, so she says, how are you going to get there? She said, by bus, of course. Now, here she is telling her girlfriend she's going to the West Coast. But she can't tell her where in the West. So we see her sit down with a map, and she rubs her finger through the map, and she sees Butte. So she goes up to the counter, and she tells the young woman, I would like to go to Butts. And so the lady says, no, it's pronounced Butte. Butte, Montana. Of all the places that she could have picked, she goes to the word that she thinks spells butt. And that is where she buys her Greyhound ticket. Her Greyhound ticket costs her $187. The young lady at the counter tells her this is the first time that I have ever sold a ticket to Butte, Montana. And so she, you know, so she says, do you have family there? And she says, if I had family in Butte, Montana, it still would have been your first time selling a ticket there. And so it lets you know that she doesn't have a very close relationship with her family and maybe not have a lot of friends. Her whole life has been spent around taking care of these kids. So anyway, she gets on the Greyhound bus. We see her experience the Greyhound bus. It's tight on the bus. She has no idea how long she's got to travel. She's going from state to state to state to state and realizes, oh hell, I am like on this bus. More sun up to sundown and sundown to sun up and on and on and on. They get to Denver and she realizes that there are big mountains. And so her anxiety starts to bother her. At the same time, she's going back and forth with these dreams of being with Blair Underwood. She was with Blair Underwood before she made the decision to go to the trip. And Blair Underwood, you know, she was touching him and rubbing on him. And he was just the man that she, you know, the man of her dreams, the man she wanted to be with. Or the man she imagined she would be with. And so when she was with Blair Underwood, he asked her, you know, he told her he wanted to do some things to her. So it looked like he was getting ready, you know, do some things to her. And he says, but I need something from you. I need to ask you a question. And she was like, what? And he said, hit me up. You know, I need you to hit me with $50. Okay. And so we see that, you know, she feels used by men. She feels mistreated by them, by just about everybody in her life. How many of us has felt like when that phone rings and a certain mofo's name comes up on it, that they got to want something? How many of us have been there family, friends, whatever. When that certain person calls and you see their number, you be like, oh, hell. I know they're going to ask me for something, because they don't call at any other time. They don't call to check on your ass. They don't call to make sure you're okay. When you down and out, they the last mofo you could ever ask for 50 cents, let alone $1. And, it's just like, oh my God. Can I ever have somebody in my life who will give to me, and not me always being the one who is giving? How many people can raise their hand and say, Auntie, God damn it, that's me? I mean, there's certain mofos that they don't even have a ringtone when they call. Like, their stuff is straight up. Like, they not blocked off my phone, but they close to it, okay? They are close to being blocked, because you get tired of always being the one to carry the heavy load. So even this man of her imagination, this man of her dream, asked and hit her up for $50. She was like, okay, no. So anyway, she decides, she gets off at Denver, and she says, you know what? She tells the bus driver, I made a mistake. I meant to buy a ticket for California. I'm in the wrong city. So he's like, look, you almost in Butte, whatever, go ahead on with it. She goes into the bathroom to, clean up, because she's been on the bus, for days. And I don't know what city she came from. I want to say it was, I don't know. It just seemed like it was Atlanta, but I don't know if it was Atlanta or not. I don't think it was Atlanta, because it was no, it wasn't Atlanta. But she came from somewhere in the South. And so she goes into the bathroom, she's cleaning up, and she's talking to herself. You know how you have to talk yourself through something? So she's in the bathroom, and she's talking herself through the situation. And then one of the girls hear her. This girl named Peaches. Heavy, white girl, truck driver, I guess bisexual girl. And she says, you need to listen to her. She gets back on the Greyhound bus, and she says, I'm going to go through with it. She starts singing this song, Juanita, Juanita, on the bus, and everybody's jamming it. But this, again, is a figment of her imagination. She sits down, and now it's time. She's at Butte, Montana. She gets off the bus. It's late at night. There's a building behind her that looks like it's been abandoned. And in front of her is a diner. And so she decides that, she's going to go into this diner and have her something to eat. Now, me, myself, and I ain't going to no damn Montana by myself and be dragging no suitcase and no diner, let alone getting off the bus. I'd have told him I'd pay for another stop. Because what you not going to do is let me off on this one lane road, and I got to drag my bags and stuff in a place where I have never been before, and it's rural as hell. She goes into this diner, and guess who's there? Penny. Her and Penny strike up a conversation, and they become very fast friends. And she talks about her son, and her girl, Peaches, talks about herself. And she says, you know what? I don't believe that Butte, Montana is the place for you to be. Hop on in my truck, and we're going to go and take a ride. And so Peaches, she gets in the truck with Peaches, and she rides to a place called Cafe Paper Moon. At Cafe Paper Moon, it is still in the rural area. I cannot remember where it is, but she is there. Peaches tells her, don't stay at the motel, because the motel owner is he's a peeper, but stay up at Millie's house. Millie is one of the places. Millie's has rooms, boarding rooms, and that's where I stay when I'm here. She drops her off. She goes into yet another diner, and in this diner, it's supposed to be French cuisine. There's 3 white guys that are sitting up at the bar, and the rest of the restaurant is completely and totally empty. In comes a waitress. She's Indian. And she comes over and she says, what would you like? Would you like a menu? So she gives her the menu. And she said, do you need help reading it? And she was like, what is it? And she said, it's French. So here in the middle of somewhere in the Wild Wild West, there's a French diner on the road. And so Minnie comes in. Juanita comes in, and Juanita's like, I want something to eat, and I want something that's gonna look like food, breakfast food. So Juanita goes on to say, what do they have? And they tell her what they have, salmon and something else. She said, no, I just want some bacon, some eggs, and a muffin. That's all I want. I want breakfast and some potatoes. So the waitress tells her, we don't have that, boo. We don't have that up in here. So she says, well, can somebody fix it? All you got to do. So she says, well, no, we have, a Canadian omelet or whatever you call it. And so she's like, okay, well, instead of having to give me the egg poached or whatever, fry that sucker, scramble it. And they was like, we can't do that. The chef's not going to do it. So Juanita said, let me speak to him. So the chef comes out. There's an Indian. His name is Jess. And Jess comes out and he's like, what do you want? And so Juanita tells him 50 million times how she wants the egg done. He tells her he's not going to do the egg that way. He says this is his restaurant and he makes a decision about what's on the menu. And she said, yeah, you sure do, because it's empty in here. Mighty funny, it's empty. She said this is the first restaurant for hundreds of miles and nobody is stopping in here. There's nobody in here. And so the white guys, at the bar, they tell him, look, Jess, you make a mean cup of coffee, but food and breakfast and all that, the woman is right. We're with the woman. And so, these are three little regulars, and everybody has regulars in their neighborhood. And so these three regulars kind of challenge him, and they agree with Juanita. And so he tells her, you know what, Juanita, since you started this debate, I need you to work in my restaurant. And you start to doing the breakfast. So Juanita stepped up to the challenge and said, yep, I'll do it for 2 weeks in cash. You pay me in cash. So she gets into the kitchen and she starts working. And she goes and she grabs eggs and grabs this. The two women who are just family members really was tickled pink that someone was challenging Jess. They all were standing around tickled pink because they probably had been telling him this for a long time and Jess wasn't open to hear it. And so basically she goes in, she gets eggs. She was like, you got any biscuits? And she was like, no. She said, well, but we have the ingredients to make it. She said, well, let's get going. She goes in and she pulls that bacon out. And she starts cooking in the kitchen. Every day at 5:30 in the morning, her alarm went off over at Millie's boarding home. And she went in every morning and she started making breakfast. And let me tell you something, that restaurant got packed so daggone fast, it was unbelievable. It was people in the morning, people in the noonday. She started showing him how to, prepare, home fries and eggs and bacon and English muffins. And he started showing her how to poach eggs and to eat eggs, poached, because Auntie ain't doing it. And so they became a friendship between the two of them. One day she got up in the morning, she came into the restaurant and Jess wasn't there. And so the girl said, today is E-Day. And so she was like, well, what is E-Day? And they was like, one of his friends died while being in the military. And every year on his anniversary, he doesn't come in. He binges and he drinks and all of that. And so she said, where does he live? Now, because she had always grown up in the city, Juanita had always grown up in the city, she had severe anxieties of being outside. When she saw the mountains for the first time, it intimidated her. Her girlfriend had already asked her, how are you going to deal with your anxiety attacks, your panic attacks? And she was like, I don't know. I'm going to deal with them. I'm going to do what I got to do. And so, she's there at the restaurant. She's smoking cigarettes, but she's never went outside. And when she would go outside, her equilibrium would be off, and she was very fearful. And when she asked her where was Jess living at, Jess told her, the family told her, and she actually walked. This was the first time she had walked. But she was grabbing onto everything, and she was so afraid. But she was determined that she was going to get to Jess. She got to Jess, and Jess talked about how he was responsible in their battalion. He was the one who was responsible for making sure that there were no live mines in the ground, bombs and stuff in the ground. And he had told Eric that, his friend, that it was clear. and he took maybe 10 or 15 steps and he saw body pieces. So he's always held himself responsible for it. But she talked about to him about her kids and how, basically of the way a person's life turns out, it doesn't have anything to do us. Yes, we want to take on guilt and responsibility and blame for the things that happen in our children's lives or in our friends' lives, or maybe we have given somebody some advice and they took that advice and, something bad happened, or, and so do you take responsibility for what has happened to them? But let me tell you something. Everybody's life is predestined, and you play an important part in their life, whether it be good or bad. See, we want to take credit for things when things are good, but when things are bad, we beat ourselves up for the same credit we need to take. But you know what? At the end of the day, every man is responsible for what happens in his own life, and we can't dwell in those kinds of things. I told my daughter today when we were talking about some things that were going on, it was a very difficult subject, and every time this subject has come up, my daughter and I, we argue about it. And we are thick as thieves, okay? We thick as thieves. She's my ride or die, and I'm hers. But there's a certain subject matter that when we would talk about it, every time we talked about it, it was combative. And so today, I had to have that difficult talk with her. And, she was like, I'm livid. I'm upset with you. You're changing your mind. You're doing this. And I told her, at the end of the day, you're grown. You can make your own decisions about what it is that you want to do with your life. But I'm going to tell you that if you make this particular decision, that I'm going to sit back in the background and I am going to watch from a distance. What that meant is not that I will not support you, but I will not support the decision. And sometimes, we make decisions for people or we lead people a certain way. But at the end of the day, every man has to make a decision for himself. And you have to, figure out what is the best decision for you. Sometimes people make decisions that affect us in our lives, and we don't have any control over it, even though we want to. Every time we have a friend or a relationship, a family member, it's always a matter of the heart. And, we want to walk around life and believe that our lives and our hearts won't be broken, that we won't make bad decisions, that we won't fail at certain things in our lives, that things, are not going to always come up roses, that there are going to be storms and there's going to be tribulation and turmoil in our lives. But we have to always remember that, what? With every bad thing, there's something good. And, things can always be worse than what they are. And you know what? This too shall pass. There is going to come a time in our lives when things are going to work out and they just going to be better. And even if the storm lingers for a while, let me tell you, every storm, okay, will have the wind sucked up out of it. Every storm, every raindrop will dry up. And there will be a sunny day. And it might not be as sunny as it was, but we have to learn how to take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet. We have to learn how to be broken and fixed, and then fixed and then broken again. Also that it will create and make us the people that we are supposed to be. So even though Jess had this bad situation in his life, and even though she had this bad situation in her life, she was trying to tell him, you can no longer be the victim. She left him. He came to the restaurant and they cooked. The restaurant was packed out. And guess what? They fell in love. Yes, they did. They fell in love and got to knocking boots, okay? Now, that happened after she went to a retreat with him because he was an Indian and there was a festival that they went to. And during this festival, they were going there to cook. They were going there to cater the food at the restaurant. At the festival. And the festival was outside. They were in teepees and all of that kind of stuff. And, with so much music and, fire and a lot of activities going on, and her anxieties kicked in. And then she started going into a panic attack. She called Jess from the other end and she told Jess, I need your help. I need to go in a teepee. When she went into the teepee, it was empty. But all the village came in, they rallied around her, and they put on their Indian garb, and they put on their feathers, and their beautiful, oh my God, it was so beautiful. And they began to pray for her and to comfort her. And they prayed a prayer over her and told her, you got to get yourself together. We're going to call in the ancestors who are going to be able to help you with this situation. And you know what, but you have got to remain in a place where you keep it for yourself. You have to be responsible for your victory. You have to be responsible for your freedom. You have to be responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your joy. You are responsible for your good days as well as your bad days. You cannot let a situation and a circumstance shake you to your cotton freaking core where you lose all of who you are. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, y'all know y'all auntie been going through it. On the other channel, I was very vulnerable, and I told you all, I need your prayer. But I can't let nothing shake me all the way down to my core, where I lose all sense of who I am as a woman, as a mother, as a career woman, okay? As an entrepreneur, as a sister, as a friend, as a confidant, okay? I cannot lose who I am as an aunt, as a prayer warrior, as a giver, as a nurturer, as an encourager, as an influencer. I can't lose who I am. So even in the midst of my battle, it's best for me to get it off of me. Ask for the help that I need so that I can lean on the strength of others, because it is nothing wrong with being weak. What's wrong with being weak is when you stay weak. The most natural thing that we do as human beings, if we fall, we get back up. If you see a man who stumbles on the sidewalk when he is walking and going to and fro where he's got to go, and he falls down on the sidewalk and he just lays there, then we all think that something is the hell wrong or he done died. Because your natural instinct is when you fall is to get the hell back up. Just as natural as it is for a bird to fly. Just as natural as it is for a fish to swim. Just as natural as it is for a lion to roar. It is natural for us to pick ourselves up out of any and every situation that we have ever been in and get up and run on. Looking and knowing and hoping and believing for a better day. So she got him together. He came in that restaurant and they began to cook. They went to the Indian thing. She came up out of this. She joined in on the festivities. He got up in the van and he said, my arm is broke. And my arm is sprained. She said, what's wrong with your arm? He said, it needs something to rest on. She got up in his arms and they kicked it off, okay? Next thing you know, they was rocking boots, okay? Rocking and knocking boots. Blew each other's minds. Now, Jess did have a drinking problem. They went to bed. He woke up. He was having nightmares. He said he needed a drink. She said, go on and get your drink and then I'll be down there. He said, no, I don't want to drink. She said, See, you're not going to make this about me. You're not going to make your not drinking or your drinking about me. Go get what it is that you want. Do you, boo. She basically was letting him know, I'm not going to be your crutch to drink or not to drink. You have to make the decision on your own. And so he decided that he wasn't going to drink. And then she told him the next day, when they sat there after all of this sexy glow, okay, after they sat there, he came out and he, cooked her breakfast. And she told him, I got to go. I'm going to California. I've always wanted to go there. That's where I really wanted to go, and I'm going. Now, Jess was devastated because he is a woman who has helped him build his restaurant to a place where he never thought that he could build it. And here she is now leaving him. He's in love with her and she's in love with him. But as a woman, she still has not fulfilled that loneliness, that broken place in her heart. She still is aware that there is something more that I have to get out of this. And so she, goes to the restaurant, and her son Randy comes. No, she's in the middle of the woods and her son Randy comes. And I'm thinking this is another one of her imaginations, one of her little, she's imagining this. But no, it was real. Randy had got out of jail, and he decided he wanted to be with his mother. And so Jess paid for him to come. And Jess is now taking Randy through an entrepreneurship program, teaching him now how to run the restaurant. And he's thinking that, having Randy there is going to change her mind, but it didn't. The next day, or a couple of days later, we see him pick her up from Millie's, and she has her suitcase in tow. And this is the day she's leaving. And he talks about it a little bit, and she gives him a nice little kiss to let him know, I love you, and I care about you. And this isn't about you, this is about me. And then, so, they drive. He takes her to, the restaurant. He tells her to keep her eyes closed. So she doesn't know where she is, and her eyes are closed. And she gets out. He gets out of the van. He gets her out. He tells everybody to come out of the restaurant, all of her friends that she's met in that time period. And they all come out, and he takes his hands off of her eyes, and she sees that he has renamed the restaurant from Shea Paper Moon to Shea J and J, Jess and Juanita. And she is floored. She is so happy, and everybody is applauding and they're happy, but she still has to make this journey. And so her girl Peaches tells her to hop on back in the truck. I'm taking you to California. I got you, boo. And she gets in there, and Jess walks away. He says his final goodbyes, and he walks away, and everybody's cheering her on. And off in the distance, you see Jess, brokenhearted. He told her that when she comes back, he's going to be there waiting on her. And she told him, if I come back. And so the next thing we see is Miss Juanita walking in all white, a flowy all white gown with her feet in the sand and water between her toes and sand. Okay, sand and water all between Miss Juanita's toes. In the middle, what I forgot to say is that Juanita, when she left, her son Rashawn finally got locked up. He finally got what he deserved. Finally. She talked to him on the phone because he had a bench warrant out for his arrest. He was trying to hide in her girlfriend's salon. And they called, and she just was like, do what Randy would do. When you get in there, do what Randy would do. The daughter called and said that, she was asking initially for a job at the hair salon, but she now has a job at the grocery store. See, when Juanita stepped out of the way, then everybody was forced to make a decision and a change in their life. When Juanita stepped away, who are you enabling in your life? Who is it that you need to step away from so that they can finally grow up? Who is it? Is it your sister, your brother, one of your cousins, your friend, your child? Who is it? A boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, or a wife? What situation is going on in your life that you are so afraid to be in control of? And that control has caused the individual to be enabled. We all got an opportunity to say, that's me. We all do. So we see her walking in the sand, and Blair Underwood comes. And Blair Underwood is talking to her and trying to hit on her. And she tells him, you know what? I don't want no parts of you anymore. I'm done. And she's free. She's free to be the woman that she wants. She's found love, but she knows that love isn't everything that she needs. She found the love in Jess, and yet and still, her vision, her goal, her destiny propelled her to still want more. And if by chance the circumstances lead her back to Jess, then ain't no love lost. But right now, she got to do her. I'm telling y'all right now, if you have Netflix, watch Netflix Juanita. I give the movie a big old huge thumbs up. Thank you so much to the writers, the creator of the story. But I think it's based on a novel. It was a superb, and I am just delighted to have watched it. So that is the end of my review of Juanita. I am going to be opening up 2 packages. So if you are not interested, please go ahead on and exit now. The review is over. For all of you all who are interested, I went to my P.O. box and I picked up a couple of items today, and I wanted to share those items with you all. I know I don't have an opportunity to open up all of them, but since I haven't done it in such, I hate that glare on my glasses. Since I haven't done it in such a long time, I decided that I would share these 2 things. Now, the card I had already opened up because for some reason when I get cards, I get anxious and I just gotta read them. So I'm going to read the card to you. It's from Genevieve Chambler. Thank you so much, Genevieve. And so on the front of it, it says, since God is everywhere. Look at that beautiful waterfall. That's so pretty. May you feel that he's as close to you as a gentle hug. Thank you, Genevieve. She says, hi, Auntie. I've written to you before at Christmas, expressing how your channel has brought me much happiness in down times. That still hasn't changed and holds true. But I've been watching all that you have been going through recently, and it is amazing how positive and strong you have been. To see you never lose faith or courage is so inspiring. I wish I had half of your tenacity and fortitude. I know you will pull through any obstacle or adversity set in your path. However, I will continue to keep you and your daughter and your moderators in my prayers. Many blessings to you. Sincerely, Genevieve Chambler. Thank you. She says, P.S. Please share more of your delicious dessert recipes. Absolutely, I will. As soon as I get into, you know. So this next package is from D.L. Jones. I tell you, every month I'm picking something up from D.L. Jones. D.L. Jones, I think you love me. Oh my God. So I haven't opened it up. I'm going to open it up with you all. For some reason, when I picked it up from the post office, it was so abused. So I'm hoping that it isn't anything fragile because they bust this thing up. Let me show you. What is this one is? Oh, tight. Let me show you how busted this up. I mean, they busted. Okay, they bust this up. So I'm gonna say thank you. I guess they said she ain't right priority or I'm fragile on it, so we're gonna go ahead on and just sling this all the hell around. That's the only thing about the post office. They so disrespectful with your stuff. They so disrespectful with your stuff. I tell you, sweetie, DL, you send me something all the time. All the time. And I'm so thankful and so grateful for the love that you have for me. Oh my goodness. Let's see what this is. This so busted up box. They ought to be ashamed of themselves the way they do people's packages. Okay. Okay, so Oh my goodness. Is this an origami? It's a dollar bill. Like origami. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to have this from my daughter. You're gonna have to write me, sis, and tell me what to do with this. But from now on, I'm gonna keep it like this. Can you all see? Camera focus. Focus camera. Okay, that's my little secret. Thank you. So it says photo frame. I bet you this is something else for my glam room, which is about to become a reality. Uh-oh. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh my goodness, this is going right in my glam room. It's a clock in the center. And as you all know, DL is in Korea, serving our country. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Oh, this is seriously going in my glam room. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. And it's weighted. Thank you so much, beloved. Thank you so much. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Now I don't know how to close it. Okay, I see. Because I got to pack this up with all the other stuff that I'm packing up. And then there was something here. I don't know what this is. Let's see. Oh, it's the battery. New 3 battery. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine being in another country and I gotta try to figure out if this is a double A or what it is. Thank you so much, ladies, Genevieve and DL. Oh my goodness, thank you all so much for the wonderful gifts. It's gonna go right back in this box and be wrapped up nice and carefully so that it can go with me on the move. Thank you so much. Like, my heart is so just full. You always are doing something for me. It's quite a few of you all who are always doing something for your auntie. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate this. It's so heavy and just nice. Thank you for thinking of me. Girl, you're going to have your fingertips and your finger stuff on everything in my glam room, ain't you? Thank you so much. Well, y'all, I'm hoping that you all like this review. Please, again, hit that thumbs up button and share the video wherever you share videos at. But I just wanted to make sure that I came out here and did that review on Juanita because, like, I loved it. And when I see something that I think will help all of us as women, as men, just as human beings to better our lives, I'm always going to share that information with you. I love you all to pieces, and I will see you tomorrow when I get back on my trash box with 90 Day Fiance. You all have a great night, and I love you to pieces.